The best way to understand how these new fuels and technologies work and the kinds of savings and benefits they offer is to actually hear from people and fleets that are already using them. So let's take a look at some Clean Cities real-world examples of how electric vehicles are making a difference in towns and communities across the country.
Hi, I'm Dave Gardy for Clean Cities TV, the educational internet TV channel of the U.S. Department of Energy's Clean Cities program. CCTV features videos about projects of Clean Cities coalitions from around the country. As Dennis Smith just mentioned, it's always good to get a perspective of real-world examples of electric vehicle applications. Ocean State Clean Cities in Rhode Island reports on the status of electric vehicle adoption in the state. This video is rather long, but the important information it imparts makes it a must-see for anybody interested in the promotion of plug-in electric vehicle technology. Al Dahlberg, an Ocean State Clean Cities stakeholder, has been actively involved in many electric vehicle initiatives in Rhode Island. He is a staunch champion of Project Get Ready Rhode Island. Al recently appeared on a local television show called State of the State. The show is produced by Operation Clean Government, a nonprofit organization in the state of Rhode Island that is dedicated to promoting honest, responsible, and responsive state government. The show's host, Ian Longren, interviewed Al about electric vehicles, or EVs, about Project Get Ready, about Rhode Island's EV infrastructure, and about the environmental and economic factors surrounding EVs.
So Al, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ian.
Thank you for being here. Let me start by asking what I think is maybe the most basic fundamental question surrounding this issue. What's so great about electric cars anyway?
Well, the primary reason I'm motivated to promote plug-in electric vehicles is for our nation's energy security. We import about half the oil we use in this country, which is actually a significant improvement from a few years ago when we were importing almost 70%. The vast majority of the oil we use in this country goes towards transportation. So the only way we're going to achieve energy independence is if we start reducing the use of oil and gasoline in our transportation sector. And the best way to do that is using plug-in electric vehicles, because plug-in electric vehicles will draw power from the grid, from electricity power plants that use a broad, diverse blend of domestic fuels to make that energy.
So you're looking at it as a security issue for the country?
It's an energy security issue for the United States, yes.
All right, so you're making your efforts to help this happen through Project Get Ready. What is Project Get Ready?
Project Get Ready is a nonprofit. It's part of a network of nonprofits around the U.S. It's part of a national initiative to get 20 cities in North America to be pioneers in the adoption of plug-in electric vehicles.
All right. And how is that going? We had you here last year. What's happened in the intervening 12 months?
Well, lots happened in this last year. We worked with Ocean State Clean Cities and other northeastern states and formed a coalition of states this last summer to apply for federal money to do EV planning, electric vehicle planning. We were successful in getting that money. So now we've started a regional coordinated effort to do planning for electric vehicles and the network of charging stations needed to improve consumer confidence in these vehicles and encourage people to buy them.
When this interview was recorded, the Chevrolet Volt and Nissan Leaf were the only two electric vehicles available in Rhode Island. More vehicles are becoming available throughout the year from a variety of major auto manufacturers. Ocean State Clean Cities maintains a webpage called Vehicles in Rhode Island that monitors alternative fuel vehicles available to consumers in Rhode Island. The list currently includes Mitsubishi's fully electric i-MiEV and the Nissan Leaf. Plug-in hybrid offerings currently include the Chevrolet Volt and the Toyota Prius plug-in, both of which are in stock at dealerships. Rhode Islanders can use this page to discover future vehicles as they become available, like the Ford Focus Electric that is expected to be available in the fall of 2012. Ocean State Clean Cities is also happy to report that there are about a half a dozen sites in Rhode Island that offer electric vehicle charging stations, or EVSEs. A map of EVSEs can be found using the AFDC locator tool, which can locate EVSEs anywhere in the country. By simply entering a zip code, city, or town, You can find specific charging station information on an interactive map. The newest location is the Wickford Junction Commuter Rail Station, located in southern Rhode Island, offering daily service to Boston. The station provides free EV charging for travelers in the parking garage, a service that gives commuters a tremendous incentive for adopting electric vehicles. The charging system, called the Juice Bar, is located on the first floor of the parking garage and has the capacity to charge 8 vehicles simultaneously. The State of the State television show also focused on technical safety and warranty information about electric vehicles.
If I start looking for a new vehicle, what is there to draw me as a consumer to an electric car?
The primary benefit for a consumer is that you're drawing a much cheaper source of power for that vehicle. And also keep in mind, electricity is a stable, regulated source of power, whereas gasoline prices fluctuate frequently. Electricity pretty much stays the same.
And the other question is, what about safety as far as impact standards and all that? Are the electric vehicles on the market now up to the same standards as other vehicles?
Yes, and that's a good question. I mean, obviously, anytime there's a new product in the market, people are going to want to know whether that's safe. So, many people heard that there were some fires in the Chevy Volts after they were crash tested. And the federal government did a vigorous examination of what happened there. And the bottom line was, what they found was that the testers had not followed the proper protocol following crash testing to discharge the battery and take out the coolant. So what happened is, because they didn't do that, there was still power in the battery. The coolant provided an arc to set a spark that caught those vehicles on fire. And the fires occurred days, if not weeks, after the vehicles had been crash tested.
So there are certain procedures that need to be followed following a crash.
Following a severe crash. I mean, these were vehicles that were subjected to the most vigorous procedures for testing the safety of a vehicle.
Where does the battery technology stand right now? What sort of batteries do these vehicles have in them? Are they lithium-ion batteries?
Yeah, so these are lithium-ion batteries, fairly similar to the battery you have in your cell phone or your iPhone. Generally, they're arrayed in structures, one next to each other. They're wired together. They're networked. And they vary in their chemistries. Some use certain types of heavy metals like magnesium. Others will use cobalt or iron phosphate. But they are all lithium-ion batteries.
And battery technology is progressing all the time. What do you see in the future for electric vehicle batteries?
Well, there's billions of dollars in research going on right now to improve these batteries, both improve the capacity and reduce the cost. So I think it's inevitable that we'll see improvements over the next few years, and we'll see these batteries shrinking in size and hopefully in cost as well.
Mm-hmm. How long can I drive one of these electric vehicles, say the Leaf, before the battery pack is used up and I have to replace it? Are the battery packs replaceable? They are replaceable. The Nissan Leaf and the Chevy Volt both have an 8-year, 100,000-mile warranty on the battery packs. So if there are any problems before then, GM and Nissan have both said they'd stand behind their batteries. They have confidence that they're going to last longer than that, or they wouldn't have made that warranty.
As Al mentioned, there are many reasons for consumers to be excited about electric vehicles. In addition to energy security, end-user benefits include smooth and quiet operation, home refueling, and even the ability to preheat or pre-cool a vehicle. Ian also brought up some good points. Consumers will naturally have questions and concerns about the safety and reliability of electric vehicles. It is important to know that the electric vehicles that are available today are not prototypes or specialty vehicles, but full production vehicles. Consumers can find crash tests, annual fuel costs, and warranty through traditional channels. For example, crash test ratings can be found through the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety or the National Highway Safety Administration. And in the dealer's showroom, consumers can check the new vehicle window stickers that list price, features, and warranty information. Like hybrid vehicles, electric and plug-in hybrid vehicles list average annual fuel costs and estimated savings compared to the average new vehicle. If you're looking for more information about EVs, your local Clean Cities Coalition can help you find the answers. And the National Clean Cities website has powerful tools like the Vehicle Cost Calculator or the Alternative Fuel Station Locator. The Vehicle Cost Calculator allows users to calculate the cost of driving an alternative fuel vehicle based on specific driving habits and fuel costs. The tool allows you to compare multiple vehicles, input the price of fuel, annual miles traveled, and get a comparison of operating costs and emissions information. In the final television interview section, Al Dahlberg talks about economic and environmental concerns involved with EVs, such as costs, emissions, and the effect on the electrical grid.
Right now, the Nissan Leaf has a battery pack. It's a 24 kilowatt-hour battery pack. It gets about 80 miles before you have to recharge it. And what we really need is vehicles that have about twice that capacity. So you'd be able to drive about 160 miles before you need to recharge. And then I think you're going to see a much wider consumer interest.
So it's interesting that you say that that's the point of the difference. 160 miles or so would be sort of a tipping point in getting more people to buy these vehicles. Do you think that maybe we should just wait until the technology reaches that point before making a big push to adopt the vehicles?
Well, no, we're making a big push already. And we're making a big push because we can't afford to wait. We need to move forward on this technology now if we're going to have the opportunity to get energy security in the United States.
Are we able, if we were to have a large number of electric vehicles right now, would the electrical grid be able to handle it?
It would. And there's a lot of work going into this. This is something that's being studied very closely. The grid in the U.S. is run by different independent system operators around the country. And they're taking a close look because their primary purpose is to ensure the reliability of the grid. So all their studies show that there is sufficient capacity right now to provide electricity for plug-in electric vehicles. We do think there may be issues in the distribution network. So in neighborhoods where you see a clustering of plug-in electric vehicles, there may be issues where you need to upgrade transformers. And that is going to require some investment, quite frankly.
How many electric cars would there be if the federal government wasn't funding them, if there wasn't subsidies and tax credits for the purchasers? Would there be any on the road right now, or is that solely as a result of government subsidies?
No, I think there would still be plug-in electric vehicles manufactured here in the U.S. and in other countries. Right now, there's a $7,500 federal tax credit on the purchase of a plug-in electric vehicle. And that goes to the consumer. It does not go to the auto manufacturer. Auto manufacturers are stepping into this and doing the research and the development and the manufacturing because they see this as the future of the auto industry. I mean, we do have limited amounts of oil on this earth. And they see that with the increasing price, they're going to have to offer vehicles that have a cheaper, more abundant source of power to fuel them. So this is a process that's going to take time.
As electric vehicles become more popular, will that affect the cost of gasoline?
Not in the short term. It's not going to have that dramatic an effect. We're already seeing a reduced consumption of gasoline per vehicle mile traveled because of higher CAFE standards, because of better federal standards for mileage for vehicles. But it's not going to have a dramatic impact.
Okay, what about on the price of electricity?
Again, it won't have a dramatic impact. We have sufficient capacity right now in the grid. In fact, electric utilities have an incentive to push more power out to the consumers. So they see that as a benefit as well.
All right. Well, we're coming right up to the end of our time. Is there anything else that you particularly want to address before we wrap up?
Well, I know a lot of people have asked about whether there are environmental or carbon benefits to plug-in electric vehicles. And it's a complicated question because you really have to look at the fuels used to produce electricity in your area. We have done a study. There was a Brown student who did a study on this a couple years ago, looking closely at the fuel mix used to produce electricity in Rhode Island. And he found rather dramatic carbon reductions as well as about 10 to 20% emissions reductions in air pollutants.
I know you told me that we get a lot of hydroelectric power in Rhode Island from north of us.
We get some hydroelectric power from north. We get almost 40% from natural gas, about 30% from nuclear, which are sources that don't produce many air pollutants. So we have a fairly clean mix of fuels for electricity in the Northeast.
Al did a great job of presenting the many factors involved in the development of the electrical vehicle industry in Rhode Island. And thanks to programs like Clean Cities and Project Get Ready, there are a lot of questions that have already been answered about the potential for electric vehicles. Consumers can use links on the Clean Cities website to find information about specific vehicle eligibility with a $7,500 plug-in electric vehicle credit. Those credits apply to qualified passenger vehicles and light-duty trucks. Similar credits help the adoption of hybrid vehicles when that was a new technology. According to the U.S. Department of Energy, there have been over 2 million hybrid electric vehicles sold in the United States since 1999. This is a great example of how a new vehicle technology can become widely adopted across the country. Perhaps we can expect the same results for plug-in electric vehicles as the supporting infrastructure is developed. Tune in again to learn how other Clean Cities coalitions around the country are progressing. I'm Dave Gardy for Clean Cities TV.